Hi, I'm Tara Reed, and I am a fabric designer with Riley Blake, and I am so excited to be in the Riley Blake studio today for the first time to share a tutorial with you. We're going to be working on this Hanukkah Nights lap quilt, and it is using my Hanukkah Nights fabric. There are 9 prints and also a placemat panel. You're going to be able to get the 10-page PDF with all the instructions, all the details to make this yourself in the description below. So let me show you what we're going to use, and then we're going to focus on specifically how to do the economy block. So this is the placemat panel. And you can see it has 6 different designs. You're going to pick your 3 favorite to make the lap quilt. Or if you wanted to make 2, you can make 2 from 1 panel, so it's fantastic. And of course, you can use the same pattern and technique to make any kind of quilt from any kind of placemat panel. So let's talk about the fabrics that we need first. You're going to cut your 3 placemats. This is actually made as a placemat. Totally legal for the placemat panel as well. But you're going to take 3 of the designs that you choose, and you're going to trim them to 10.5 high by 18.5 wide. Then you're going to take 2 different fabrics. I'm using the main dreidel on the navy blue. I absolutely love how delicious this blue came out on this fabric line. And then we're going to do the multicolored stars. I chose to do this as the border and the binding because it matches with the edge of your placemats. So you're going to cut 6 strips of this, and then you're going to cut some little pieces, but we'll go into that later because we want to focus and get to the economy block. So what I love about this quilt block is that you can make it oversized and trim it down to size. So even if you have never ever made a quilt block before, you can successfully make this so that your points are going to work really, really well. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So everything's going to be oversized. We're going to make 3 of them to make the lap quilt. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to need 3 centers. And there's 2 ways to go about that. The first way clickety-click, sorry. You can cut a 5.5-inch strip from the main print with the blue, and then just cut 5.5-inch blocks. So this is like the perfect little ruler because it is exactly 5.5 inches. I always love it when you have that serendipity and your ruler is the exact size you need. So you would just take this, cut 3, and then you're going to get your print, whatever. It's going to be random select, based on where the pattern is on the strip and where you cut. So you'll see you get some cut off menorahs, some different things going on here. So that's the first way that you can do it. That's not my favorite way to do it though. I am told that I have control issues. I say I have design issues. So I like to do what is called fussy cutting. And if you've never heard that term, it basically means you're being fussy about what you're cutting. And you're going to pick a very specific part of the print that you want to put in the center. And you'll notice on the quilt, that is what I did. I have 1 menorah centered in the center of each of these economy blocks. And to do that, you're going to use an 8-inch strip of fabric. And that is going to allow you to take the ruler, or the square, and place it exactly where you want it. So it has this nice cross in the middle. You're just going to put it over whichever menorah you want, and you're going to cut. Okay. Now, one thing, because it doesn't go all the way, you're not necessarily going to have a totally straight cut, but I'm pretty much just going to use this to get my 3 blocks and then go. So I would just take this, hold my hand down. So you'll see the menorah is right in the center, and I have the 5.5-inch block. So you would just do that and choose 3 of the menorahs that you want. You could do 3 different colors because there are silver, gold, and blue on this print, or if you wanted to do 2 blues, there's some different things at the bottom of each of them. So just dealer's choice. So when you have your 3 blocks, your 3 center blocks, then you're going to need 6 5.5-inch squares. This is Shabby Beehive from Lori Holt. It works great with this Hanukkah Nights fabric. And I'm cutting 6 because you need 2 for each block. Remember, we're going to make 3 economy blocks. And then 6 white squares that are 6.5 inches. So for each block, you're going to use 2 of the yellow and 2 of the white. So the first step is to take each of these and cut them on the diagonal to make triangles. So again, this is our goal. It's going to have 4 yellow and 4 white triangles. Always close your rotary cutter so accidents don't happen. All right, so you're going to take one of your centers and you're going to fold it in half, and it doesn't matter which direction. You can fold it top to bottom, side to side, because we're going to be doing both directions. So whichever you do first does not matter at all. And then you're going to finger press. We don't want to iron this. We just want to finger press because we need to know where that center line is, but we don't want it crisp. Now you're going to take 2 of the yellow triangles and put the fabrics right side together. And you're going to line up this raw edge and then make sure the point is right on that line so that we have it nice and straight. And then just pin that with these cute little Riley Blake bird pins. I love them. It's the little things in quilting. And I'm going to turn it around and we're going to do the same thing with the second triangle. I always line up the raw edge and then I flip this one back so that I can see that crease, and then I make sure the point is in that crease. And now we're going to take it to the sewing machine and we're going to sew down each side with a 1/4 inch seam. Oh, one thing I forgot. When I do my blocks, I often will use spray starch. There seems to be starchy people and not starchy people. I'm a starchy person because it will make your fabric less floppy. And especially if you're new to quilting, that's really helpful so that when you're sewing, everything stays nice and lined up. I'm using a 1/4 inch foot. So I'm just going to line that up with the edge of the fabric and I'm going to sew straight down. Make sure you don't have to start at the end of your triangle, but you want to make sure you get the beginning of that square. So now we have these 2 triangles and we just need to press them. So we're going to go over to the iron. And I'm going to put a little bit of starch on here just because I want to make sure these pieces stay nice and shaped. And I'm going to press towards the triangles. Then another thing I like to do, just to make sure you get a nice crisp angle, is once you press it, you just hit it with this quilter's clapper. And it's basically wood, has a nice grip to it, and it takes some of the heat and it gives you a really nice edge to that. And you don't have to worry too much about what's going on past the block because this is all going to get cut off. It's one reason I love blocks like this where I can do them oversized and then we can trim them down because you don't have to be quite as precise. Okay. So now we have the first half of the center squares done. We're going to now repeat the same process in the opposite direction. We're going to fold this in half. Make sure you're lining up these seams and these raw edges, and we're going to finger press. And then we're going to do the same process, line up these raw edges, the point to that fold that I just did. So then you're going to take that back to the sewing machine and do 1/4 inch seams there again. But to save time, I have one ready for you. So this is what the block looks like when we have put both sides of the triangles on, and you will notice that it is no way near perfect. This isn't quite lined up, but again, it doesn't matter. So what we're going to do is we're now going to trim this block so that it looks like this, where it's going to have perfect 1/4 inch off of each of these points. I highly recommend using a rotating cutting mat for this, because if you can move your mat and not your block, you're going to have much better consistency. And we're going to trim this to 7.5 inches square, which, guess what? This is 7.5 inches square. How awesome is that? So what you're going to do is you're going to line this up, and you'll notice it's dark on the outside. So the 1/4 inch seam is shown in green. So you want to make sure that these lines and that 1/4 inch are right on those points. And then you're just going to cut all 4 sides. And again, try not to move your ruler or your block. So you can see how easily we cut off this extra, and that can be our secret. And our block looks amazing. Perfect 1/4 inch beyond each of these points. So now I'm going to move this table for a few minutes, and we're going to do the same process to add the white blocks or the white triangles to here. So we're going to fold it in half, folding on the points and lining up all of the edges. And you only really need to finger press in the middle, because that is where the point is going to be. So we're going to line up the raw edges here, get this point into that fold, and pin that together with the cute little birds. So as you can see, this is the same exact process that we just did. And I'm going to show you what this one looks like when it is done. So now it's just like the other one. It's oversized. It's not perfectly lined up, but we are going to be fixing that so that we get this perfect square in the end. So we're going to get our rotary mat out again. And this time we have another perfectly sized square. I love it. We're going to trim this to 10.5 inch square. So you're going to make sure that the blue is lined up on these points, that these center lines are straight to these points. And this is where you want to really take your time and make sure you get your square lined up well so that your cut block is good. And then just press down and cut all the sides, trying not to move your block and not to move your ruler. But just move the mat. Okay, and look at that. So now we have 2 of these blocks, and you would make 3 to do the full lap quilt. So now we have our economy block done, and I'm just going to show you how we're going to sew together each of these rows. You're going to take your economy block, and then I like to do an oversized sash, which not the best to do for a big quilt, but works great for this size. And you're going to put this right sides together, and you're just going to sew. And then once you have sewn along there, you're going to trim that so that it's nice and straight. And then you're going to add your placemat panel and do the same thing. So sew that on there. And that will end up like magic, like this. So you're going to make 3 different rows, and you can put them together in any order that you want. I do recommend you kind of lay it out on a bed or your workspace before you're putting your economy blocks on. When I was making this lap quilt, I sewed them together and realized all my economy blocks were on this side and all of my placemats were on this side. And I feel like it's a lot more balanced when you stagger them. But again, totally up to you. After you have your 3 rows together, you're gonna add your sashing, your border, quilt it, and your binding. And then you're done. And I'm Tara Reed. If you want to find me online, you can find all of my social media, my YouTube channel, and my website in the description below. I'm done. Time for a Sofgan Yo. That's good.